Hey fellas, how you doing? It's Johnny Berba. If this is the first time you come onto my YouTube channel, welcome. I help people who have got social anxiety disorder, and in the midst of what I help people with, men and women, what I teach, it entails all areas of confidence. So social confidence, which is primarily, I'm guessing why you're here, confident to speak to people and be yourself and feel socially relaxed with people. If you're a man, confidence in the area of speaking to women, starting new relationships and being comfortable around women. If you're a woman, same in reverse. Confidence to do the job that you want to do. Confidence to be the person that you want to be. I think that the confidence to change parts of yourself that you're not happy with. This is what makes me the best teacher in the world when it comes to teaching people how to overcome social anxiety and build confidence. I know that sounds very arrogant and it sounds very egotistical, but it's the truth. And if you just bear with me for a second, I'll explain why that's the truth. The reason that is the truth is because I struggled with social anxiety myself since about age 11, and I've not long overcome it, in all honesty. And I overcome it at, I'd say, about maybe age 31. I'm 33 now, so last 2 to 3 years completely made a full recovery. And I had every problem that you had. I had every single problem I'm going to explain. I was an insecure man. I had psychotic jealousy. I couldn't trust anyone. I didn't like myself. I didn't like people. I didn't enjoy social interaction. My relationships were always up and down. I struggled for most of my life to actually do a job that I enjoyed. Like I said, I really struggled. I struggled, the mental illness of this, it really is a disease of the mind. And I struggle with my confidence. I also struggle with addictions. I was addicted to bullying people as a defensive mechanism. Addicted to drugs on a recreational level. Sold drugs, took drugs. Addicted to alcohol. Addicted to cheating in my relationships. When I did get relationships, I cheated as a defensive mechanism, because unconsciously I was always frightened that people would abandon me, especially in relationships with women. What else is there? I just struggled for most of my life to believe in myself, and the main fear that this came from was not being able to trust people, which was a direct projection of how I felt about myself. And the reason I had this, the reason I was diagnosed with social anxiety, is because my dad was abusive towards me growing up. I had an abusive relationship with my dad, and he completely broke my trust. So I spent many years trying to figure this out, put the pieces together. I went on a long journey, massive journey. Some of you might know me from a few years ago when I was teaching pick-up artistry and dating coaching, and that was part of my journey. That was part of me healing and coming to terms with this. So I'm going to let rip in this video. I'm not going to hold back. There's no catches. It's not my style of teaching. My teaching is about honesty. So I'm going to relax, and I'm going to tell you in this video everything I did to overcome my social anxiety. And in the midst of that, you'll get a further understanding of what my teaching is about on my 6 weeks program over Skype throughout all my platforms. Most of the teaching platforms that I do are free, but if you want paid coaching, that would be to work with me in person, and the benefits of that are life-changing, and that's evident with how long I've been teaching people for. I've been working with people for 5 years. As I said, I've gone through a transition myself from first teaching in the dating industry, being one of the top coaches in the world in that area, then evolving from that and wanting to go fully into what I'm doing now, which is helping people with social anxiety, self-confidence, confidence in all areas of the life. When I was teaching dating coaching, it was just confidence in that area. I realized as I evolved as still a student, an ever-growing student and a teacher, people needed more, and people that were coming to me for more than just how to meet women and how to have sex with women. It was more about building an integral relationship with himself, healing the trauma in the past, and as I said, being confident in all those areas. Because if you're not confident in one area, it tends to affect all areas. Alright, first step, admit it. Something that I had problems with for years, which is why it took me so long to overcome it. And that was the false ego. That was my ego. So I find most people with social anxiety, they have it because, number one, they haven't admitted it, and admitting it doesn't necessarily mean going out and telling people. That is one area, and I've taught that level of honesty, which is great. You have to admit it to yourself. Now, admitting it means all of it, and I know every intricacy of social anxiety. It starts off in the mind. You look at people, you feel resentment, you feel hate, you feel jealousy, you feel distrust, you feel disgust, you feel shame. And all of these things that you feel when you look at people are a mirror about how you feel about yourself. And I don't want to hurt you when I say this, because I know it's touchy, but you'll thank me later on, believe me, because it took me years to admit that. So you see that in other people, and you're constantly looking for signs of betrayal, reasons why you can't trust people, and that's a good reason for that. There's a good reason why you feel like that, and I had it, because your paranoia that you're feeling is for a reason. Obviously, if you've been hurt in the past, especially by someone you trust, in my case my dad, you've got every reason to feel paranoid with people and with the world. I don't blame you. I was the same. However, that doesn't need to be your truth. That doesn't need to be true for you. And obviously, just being logical and using your intellect and you being conscious, not everyone is out to get you. There's a lot of beautiful, nice people in the world that are not going to reenact whatever the person has done to you that's created your social anxiety. In my case, it was my dad. And from my dad, it was quite a lot of bullying at school. It came from a lot of my own insecurities and projections. I attracted trouble. Some relationships with friends earlier on that I wasn't happy about. So that's the first step, is understanding, why do I have this? So as I said, in my case, I had it because I had an abusive dad. He was narcissistic, he was controlling, he was bullying, he was vile at times, he was nice sometimes. I didn't trust him. It projected in my personality, I projected that out into the world, and I got it slapped me back in the face. So it's understanding, where did it come from? Because it's painful when we feel like this towards people. We kind of feel we don't know why. You don't know why you feel this way. You just see people, you feel resentment. Probably like myself, you have trouble speaking to people if you have anxiety. You can't listen properly, you can't concentrate, you're always trying to work out, are people being genuine? Are they trying to manipulate you? I had, as I said, psychotic jealousy. I thought everyone is trying to control me. There's an agenda. When they're being nice, they're not being nice. There must be a reason, because I had such low self-esteem at the time. So just what I'm saying now, just talking you through it. This is a lot of what I do in my coaching when I work with people in my 6 weeks program. You're just sort of talking to yourself. First thing you have to do is, as I said, is don't be hard on yourself. If you feel resentment and anger and hate towards people and distrust, I know it's kind of contradictory, it's such a harsh thing to say, don't be hard on yourself. You still got to love yourself, because deep down no one really feels like that. That's not your true self. That's the false ego. That's protection because of what's happened to you. So it's just obvious. It's the whole nature and nurture. If you put a kid into a wild family growing up that's dysfunctional, abusive, the likelihood is that kid's going to come out violent, abusive and dysfunctional, because that's how he's groomed, that's what he learned. If you put another kid in a family that's loving, kind, affectionate, present and not abusive, well, the likelihood is the child is going to come out like that. So it's about smashing down this false self that you've built up, or your mind's built up as a protective mechanism from your abuse, and gradually reconnecting with yourself, realigning with your true self, which is already there. It's already there. It's underneath this false self. So this is a great start, and it's pretty much all of it. I'm going to keep saying this video. I'm sorry, I just went blank for a second. It's a lot to explain back, all my life experience. So you admit to it, you understand why you have it, you understand that it's not your fault, and you understand the projections that you're seeing in other people are a direct projection that's coming from you about how you feel about yourself, which, when you think about it, at first you probably feel how I felt, disappointed. You might be in denial, but that means you've got the power. I can't control you. Your dad can't control your mum, your family, bullies at school, your sister, your brother, whoever hurt you. You can control you. And when you control yourself and change your projection of how you feel about yourself, you don't even have to try and forgive people or trust them, because that change in projection yourself will change everything around you. Now, I also want to go on a side note. I made a mental note in my head because it's going to be helpful in this video that I wanted to explain, and I hope I don't confuse you, because I confuse myself when I say this. That doesn't mean that in the norms of reality, whatever we call reality, but the kind of base level of reality that we see around us, that doesn't mean that there aren't people that are manipulative, that are untrustworthy, that are violent, that are jealous, and that you've got to be careful about. And anyone who denies that is denying reality. So I'm saying, what I'm basically saying is, it's not your fault for feeling this way towards other people based on the evidence and the experiences that you had when you was a child to make you feel this way. But within that, that doesn't have to be your truth. So if you change the projection about how you feel, and you get yourself honest in every area and aspect of your life that you can, as quick as you can, and you practice what I said in my last videos, the deliberate, intentional suffering of getting around people, facing every aspect of social anxiety on a practical level. I'll tell you how I did it, it might help you. First one was, in no chronological order, first one was speaking to women. That was an area that I delved into. There's no right or wrong, that's just the first step. I did that for a while, built my confidence there. I still had complex social anxiety. The next one was with men, because I had an issue with men, being bullied by a man and not being able to trust men and women in general, but men. So I became a teacher, and I started to teach other men who are anxious how to be confident with women, and that really helped me to teach people, and they also helped me back. Then I still had some complex social anxiety around other people, other situations, so I started to do public speaking. I gave hundreds of public talks on the areas that I was interested in, which were confidence with women, dating, relationship building, integrity, all these areas that kind of branch into social confidence and social anxiety and mental illness and addiction and recovery and healing and trauma and love and all those areas. So I did that really built my confidence. Then I went almost backwards on myself, and I went into these really personal areas that I'm just going to be really open and share with you, which was allowing people in more, because I used to have a real problem with that. I had a real problem with allowing people to see who I truly was. So I may show people 70%, but I was burying the 30%, and the 30% I wasn't showing, that was still social anxiety. And that was even at the height of being quite successful in my life. So I thought, I want to start working on that and being more vulnerable around people. Don't have to do it with everyone, but I started to do it more, and that was fantastic. And then, as I said, I used to have an issue with what I'm doing now. A few years ago, I'd be terrified to stand in a park and do a video blog talking about honesty and what I teach in my life. I'd be so paranoid, I think someone's going to come out and try and kill me, shoot me, or stab me. I don't want to speak too quick, change the projection. So I had to practice in these scenarios that my sick mind at the time was creating danger, and what if this happens? I thought, I want to go and test it. I want to see if it's going to happen, because I'm sick of it bullying me. And then it never happened. So I practiced being stationary in public. Then I practiced going into things like Starbucks, because I used to have a lot of anxiety around going into Starbucks and ordering a coffee out loud in front of everyone. I had a lot of embarrassment that I was carrying, that was on the unconscious, that I wasn't fully aware of until I started to delve into different areas of my psychology. My embarrassment came from my dad, from criticism. So I was embarrassed about my voice unconsciously. So I started to practice verbalizing my voice out, not shouting, just speaking more around people. And I found the only way to get real confidence was to speak from an aligned place of honesty. So I did that in coffee shops. There was another personal thing that used to intimidate me, because I grew up in a working class background. It was just a class fear that I had, which wasn't true, but seemed to be, it was taught to me. I don't know where I got it from, I picked up. And I had a fear of going to posh establishments like hotels, 5-star hotels, and I didn't want that to be true for me anymore, because I knew that that wasn't true. It was just a belief, it was just something that I'd taken on. So I started to go to these restaurants by myself, order a coffee, order food, sit there and sit through the anxiety. It was strong at the start, and then after about a year of practice it completely went away. I feel comfortable in these places and those beliefs changed. So that really got rid of what I'd call, maybe you could call it environmental anxiety, or even class anxiety. And class anxiety again is in that realm of social anxiety, so I practiced that. And of course I eventually started to work with people that were from different classes, which was great to dissolve that illusion. Doctors, lawyers, bankers, educated people. So I just constantly kept practicing in the areas that I was frightened of, to disprove that they were true and to change my psyche and my projection and keep improving it. I did that. What else did I do? I think I've already said this before. I had a lot of fears around sexual intimacy, being naked in the bedroom. I felt really judged. I was worried that my it's just irrational thinking. Now women are going to think, oh, his willy's too small, and I'm being humorous, but this is very true. My willy's not too small, but social anxiety gave me these fears. Or my body is not, I don't look nice, I'm unattractive. I practice in those scenarios, and sometimes I would have to call it out and be honest. I struggled with a lot of erectile dysfunction a few years ago. I overcome that, and everything I overcome with social anxiety was through the practice of honesty. So you can kind of hear what I did. Then I started to work on my addictions. As I said, I had a lot of addictions to jealousy, so I practiced a spiritual practice that Eckhart Tolle teaches, and I now teach myself, which is self-observation. So if you feel jealousy come up or jealous thoughts, you can observe them, but you don't identify them. And I practiced that for 3 years. Incredible results with it, and I incorporate that in my teaching. My mentor really helped me with that, Jeff. So I practiced going right back to the root of social anxiety, which is at the level of thought. It's at the level of thought, level of engagement or disengagement. So if feelings of even if I was to look at someone and feelings of judgment was to come up about them, or this person wouldn't be trusted, or and I don't even know the person, I don't engage in that, because that's not the true self, that's the ego. So this, I did everything. I did it on a social level. I built my confidence up, changed my fashion. I've incorporated the spirituality, every area, until eventually it went. And of course, we all get times when we feel a little bit anxious. We're all human. So if anxiety ever comes up, I just use that practice. But the actual social anxiety itself went. So if you was to follow what I've just said in this video, you would overcome it. I think, like I said, the biggest fear, for the actual fear of it when I got right down to it, is the feelings. And the feelings come from your untrue projection. Like I said, this anxiety, I've nailed this right down to the essence of what it is, from working with hundreds of people on my 6 weeks program, talking to loads of people on Skype, 5 years of teaching a lot of people and having it myself and overcoming it, which is why I said I'm the best teacher in the world. You can go online, you can read blogs about social anxiety disorder. I'm not disputing that, from people that have they're qualified in the area, but they don't provide a solution. They just talk about anxiety, they just talk about the symptoms. And I think the reason why they don't have the full answer to it is because they didn't have social anxiety themselves. And it's almost impossible, not 100%, but if you didn't have social anxiety disorder and you haven't fully recovered and overcome it, how on earth can you teach other people to do it? You're just going to be teaching them based on your intellect. And social anxiety is not intellectual. It's not intellectual. To some area, there's a certain level of thought. But if you use your intellect to try and overcome social anxiety, it's not going to happen. Because I tried it. I tried all these things. As you can imagine, I tried every single thing before I got to the actual thing what worked. And what worked was very simple. It was not engaging in negative thoughts and deliberately, intentionally putting myself in fearful social situations until I become desensitized, confident, and overcome it and develop the mental tools and skills. It was facing the fear, to get right down to it. And a lot of stuff online will go into the whole symptoms of social phobia, about embarrassment, about sweating, about being self-conscious. It's obvious, you already know that. You don't need a psychologist to tell you that. I'm not completely ruling out the fact that some of it may help, but from my experience, it didn't help. And I've mentored a lot of people in my 6-week program that have consulted counsellors before coming to me, and different practices, and they've said it didn't really help. They've said what I teach is 1,000,000 times better, and it's true. It's the truth. It's not me being arrogant or egotistical, because I was my own guinea pig. I used it on myself and it worked. It took it away. So if you follow what I've said, sorry, we've got a bit dark now. If you follow what I said in this video, I guarantee you that your social anxiety will go away. I can't tell you how long it's going to take. It depends how much work you put in, and it depends how severe your social anxiety is. I work with people that have got it at different levels. Some is really severe where they can't come out of the house. Some people is mediocre. I had the worst case where I couldn't make eye contact. I couldn't come out of the house, depression, panic attacks. And I know I've said things in a different order because I don't plan my videos, I just tell it how it is. But this is how I did it. And I kind of just went into all these different areas. I just kept going in. So it was like my anxiety was 100%, and I worked confidence of women, 80%, still had it. Then I worked on getting around men, getting comfortable with men, then it went to 50%. Then, like I said, I worked on like addictions, those little personal things like going to fancy hotels, disproving class anxiety and all the rest of it. And then that went, and then actually worked on myself and my addictions, and then it went 100% recovery. And that's, like I said, we all experience anxiety from time to time. That's normal. That's a healthy amount. Everyone does. If you meet new people, you go into new social situations. But that's being a normal person. But having social anxiety in its severity, that's very different. So this is really going to help you if you apply this. And as I said, it's really simple. It comes down to 2 things. It comes down to not engaging in negative thoughts through spiritual practice or psychological practice. So when negative thoughts come up about yourself or other people, not engaging in them, practicing disassociating. But to contradict that, you have to go and speak to people, to state the obvious. And like I've said in my other videos, it's about integral living. If you're watching things like porn, drugs, alcohol, cheating in relationships, that's going to give you a lot of anxiety. So it's getting clean. And this is what my 6 weeks program is about. So if you feel you need help and you wouldn't be able to do all this by yourself, and of course a teacher like myself, I can't fully do it for you, no one can, but I can help you to help yourself. And that extra support and help, especially from someone like myself who's had it and got experience with actually overcoming it. I know every intricacy. I understand the mind of someone who's got social anxiety like the back of my hand. I can help you on my 6 weeks program to help yourself and get life-changing results through this process that I teach. Now, I'll just say to you, I don't have a structure because I don't need a structure, as you've heard in this video. I don't have a set thing that we do. I work with everyone on an individual basis, and I won't know until I actually meet you. So I would usually have a taster session with someone for an hour or 2 to get an understanding of where they're at, and then I'll go from there and help you through this process to help yourself.